Hello one and all, how are you all doing today? So guess what, we have a heck of an episode for you today. We're going to talk about some super sensitive topics. I'm going to be trying to be as respectful as possible, and you have to remember I'm not a doctor, I'm just some guy doing his thing. So take this with a grain of salt, but that being the case, if you feel that some of this may fit you, definitely look more into it, look up, see what the real pros think, and don't listen to this guy who's just telling you his personal point of view and his personal path. But if you haven't been with us before, what I am doing is I'm doing my 365-day body transformation as I try to burn off all this quarantine weight, and I also try to build some strength again and try to get competitive again, because a year and a half ago I had a very serious injury, and now for the first time in a year and a half I'm finally able to exercise again. So I decided to get myself in the best shape of my life. It's a lot easier said than done, because I am on the second half of my 30s, so I'm just trying to get back in the game and do what I can and try to be a little bit more like how I was before. But more than that, I'm trying to be the best me I can be. So let me ask you a question. This is something I was thinking about today, and again, this will get into the topic of the video. But I remember when I was in high school, right? When I was in high school, I would get up to the bench. You have to remember I was a wrestler. I wasn't a football player. I wasn't a weightlifter per se. But I did take some weightlifting classes. And when I would get up to the bench, I would lift about, I'd say, in the 100-pound range. That's what I would bench. And so I train, and time passes, and I train, and eventually I get to lifting 225 pounds, which, for those of you who don't know, that's basically two of the big plates on each side of the bar, of an Olympic-sized bar. So that's 225 pounds. So if I keep working and training, eventually I may hit 315 pounds, which is 3 plates on each side, right? So good job. Well, I mean, first of all, I put in a lot of work and effort into lifting 225 pounds. That's awesome. If in the future, at some point ever, which I don't even know is going to happen, but if at some point ever I lift 315 pounds, that's amazing. That's spectacular. That's particularly awesome. But what if I keep on going and I try to lift more and more and more? I mean, eventually it's going to become exceptionally difficult. It's going to be exponentially more difficult to lift just a little bit more weight. And on top of that, I run the risks of getting injured very bad the more I go up, right? So let me ask you a question. Let's say that you're not a runner. So obviously you're slow. You decide you want to run, and maybe you get faster over time, right? And maybe put in some more effort and more time, and eventually you get faster over time, and then you kind of hit a plateau, and you get to the point where you could put in a bunch more effort. I mean, just a ton more effort, and maybe you get a hair faster. But at what point is it not worth it anymore? Right now, I want to show you something really, really cool. I think it's cool. I'm a little bit of a math guy, and this is a super simple version of something I've seen before in probably some stats classes, probably some pre-calc classes. But this is just a simple curve right here. And as you'll see, this is one of the most important curves you will ever see. And for those of you who don't know, this is what's called a function, right? And a function pits one thing against another thing, one thing against another thing. For instance, in this time it's time, and let's say effort as well. Let's lump in time and effort. And for the more time and effort you have, this is your growth, or this is your gains, right? So for this much time, you get this much. For this much time, you get this much, right? And so on. This is what's called an S-curve, as I may have said. Now, why is this important? Because at the beginning, this is where a lot of you are right now, right? At the beginning. And what does that mean? It means you have to put in a lot of time as you go across this way. You have to put in a lot of time, a lot of effort for just a little bit of growth, and that sucks, and that can be discouraging. But I guarantee you, it won't always be the case if you stick with it. So don't let that discourage you, right? But here's the point: you keep on going, and all of a sudden, whoa! Now your growth is up here, right? And you keep on going, and you keep on going. whoa, your growth is way up here. And all of a sudden it's taking less time and less effort because you're having it's having an exponential effect. Your growth is becoming exponential, right? Until this point, what happens here? Well, at this point we have the law of diminishing returns, and the law of diminishing returns says that at some point when you're putting in a lot of effort and time and capital and stuff, right? At some point you're just not going to get payoff because it's just not there. It's just, you're going to put in exponentially more time for just a tiny bit of growth. So is that worth it? We all have to decide at what point it's not worth it to us, right? You know, obviously if you're an Olympian or something like that, you're trying to be the best in the world. So it might make some sense to put in all this time and all this effort for just a hair more growth, because after all, just a hair more growth, because sometimes these Olympic events can be won by a hair. So that's what they're after, you know. But we have to decide, are we willing to put in all this and possibly kill ourselves for just that much growth? You know, at first it may not look great, but again, it's a temporary position. But after we break this little area right here, then all of a sudden, boom, our growth goes up really quick, and that's a good thing, right? But at some point, when are we going to decide that enough is enough and we don't need to put in that much time and that much effort because there's not going to be any more growth hardly, right? So for me, maybe I'll try to lift 315 in my life. Sure, why not? I don't think me personally it would injure me, right? But at some point I have to weigh all the pros and cons, you know, and say, look, I'm training every single day and I'm barely lifting an extra pound, you know, and I run the risk of injuring myself. So when do I stop? Well, it's different for each personal person. I would talk to your doctor, I would talk to your trainer, and again, it depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to be stronger? Are you trying to be faster? Or are you, in the case of this video, trying to lose weight? Well, here's the thing. I went in for a little. I went into the gym, right, for a little diagnostic scan earlier. It was through a personal trainer, right, and the personal trainer puts me on and discovers that I am 15% body fat. And for those of you not too familiar, 15% is pretty good for a guy. Pretty good. It would be considered fit. You know, not a little below the average, but in a nice little fit area. Not the body fat of a male athlete. I do have, funny enough, the body fat of a female athlete, which is a story for a different video. But no. But I have the male, or I have the body fat for a reasonably fit person of my height and age and all that business. So here's the thing. I think for me, especially because again, and I'm not a doctor and I'm not telling you what to do at all. This is my own personal stuff for myself, right? I tend to carry it around the gut. So for me, it makes sense to try to get closer to maybe 10% body fat, which would be considered somewhat athletic, somewhat body fat of an athlete for a guy, right? And the reason is because I carry it all right here. So if I lose about 10 pounds right here, right, then that would be it would put me in my athletic goal. And for the sake of this 365-day transformation I have going on, for the sake of this challenge I've given myself, it makes sense, especially since I have a long history of athletics, right? Now, would it make sense for you if your job had nothing to do with athletics? I might say no, I might say yes, I might say no. But again, it's different between the genders, it's different between the heights, it's different between the ages, and there are a lot of factors. So again, consult your doctor, consult your trainers. Guess what, one and all? So this video got way too long, so I'm going to be cutting it into two halves for you, right? So this half one, and it has to do mostly with progress, and we will have half two, that is video 2, coming up very, very soon, and by very, very soon I mean in the next half hour or so. So stay tuned for that, and that one is specifically more tactics for trying to lose fat, as I was trying to do with my quarantine weight. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like and subscribe, and I hope you all take care, and peace.